Hey guys. I'm going to do tack it today. I was going to do epoxy, but it's really cold here and I didn't want to, you know, my ventilation in this room is that I'm in right now is not that awesome, so I figured I better play it safe. So, anyhow, it's been a day of days today because I was like trying to do another tutorial in another group, and that took me longer than I thought, and then I was having trouble getting stuff on my cups, and oh boy. So hi everybody, hi. So doing Northern Lights is like one of my, I love it. It's a fun cup to do, and it's a really simple. It looks super complicated. It's not. Northern Lights can be any colors. It can be greens and blues and oranges and reds and purples and just like so many colors. I do like to use mostly fine glitters, just because it works really good. If I'm doing epoxy, I will do mica, which I'm hoping like maybe in a couple of weeks I'll be able to do that. Like I said, the ventilation here is just not like amazing, so I didn't want to risk it right now. So basically, all you need is a tree line, and you can actually get a tree line silhouette pretty much anywhere. Just Google tree line. There, a whole ton of them will pop up, and pick one that you like. There's you know, there's big trees, little trees, pine trees, you know, I've seen like a bazillion different kinds. So it's super like open to your interpretation, what you want to do. I spray paint the cup black, and then what I'll do is I'll put you don't even have to like be super careful how you put it on. I generally cut my design up just so that it applies easier, because when you're doing a taper, sometimes it's hard to get your cup to lay, you know, get your vinyl to lay perfectly flat on your cup. What's most important is all these little pokey up parts of the trees. You really, really want to press those down. Make sure that you have those adhered to the cup, because you don't want, when you're putting glitter on or you're putting mica on, you don't want that seeping down underneath your trees. So this is, like I said, this is a pretty quick cup to do. I actually did a canvas doing Northern Lights just a short time ago. It came out super, super awesome. And I used mica for that. So all you need to do this is pick out some glitters that you like. Today I want to do mostly darker, I think, colors. I just sort of like the way these look, and all these glitters are available at Southern Sassy Sparkles. So we're going to do dancing shoes for this beautiful purple color. We're going to add a little bit of Envious, which is kind of a green teal. We're doing Varsity Blues, which is a gorgeous blue. I might use this, it's called S-Teal. I'm not positive on that one, but I like to grab a whole bunch of different ones and just kind of, when I start putting it on, and say, okay, this needs more here or there. I have to have purple in pretty much everything I do, so Amethyst is really awesome. I have a Daytona Beach color, and then I really love this. This is called Peacock Plume, and it's kind of a holographic purple and pink and blue together. This is gorgeous, So I want to do this because when you're doing tack it method, one of the things is you're burnishing the cup and then you're rubbing all your glitter down so that it's laying perfectly flat, and it gives this incredible like shimmer to your cup. So I think that this Peacock Plume will look super good. As a matter of fact, I would imagine you could probably do an entire cup with just this, and I think it would look super good. I might use this mystical color. So again, these are all Southern Sassy Sparkles. She does have a code for you, which is tutors, and you can do that if you want to. You need tack it. Now, I've had a ton of people ask me about tack it. What is a tack it? And they'll show me all these different bottles, and it's not the right stuff. This is what you want, guys. It's by Aleene's. It's called Tack It Over and Over. You water it down a little bit. Some people say 50-50. Some people say, 3/4 tack it to and then 1/4 water. Some people say 2/3. It really is up to you. You got to play with it and find out what works best for you. Once you have your tack it mixed in the proportions that work for you, then you're going to just liberally apply it to your cup. Now, what I do is I'll come down all the way into my tree line. The reason that you're pressing this vinyl down really good is so you don't get any of this glue up underneath. And I generally start from the bottom and I work my way up the cup. I am going to move pretty quickly because I'm sure a lot of you guys have glued a cup before. You know how it works, and I want to get into the cool stuff. In order for tack it to burnish properly, one of the things about it is it does need to dry some, so it becomes tacky, and that's what allows it to do its cool thing. You can use fancy brushes if you want to. They actually have some special brushes that you can use. Some people like a sponge brush. Me, I just use these cheap brushes. When they're dead, I just throw them away, and it's no big deal. I don't cry about having having a brush go on me, and I'll use these quite a bit, and then I'll just chuck them out. It's worth it. The thing I found when I mix my tack it is the water ratio that you put in allows it to spread out. When you're applying it to a surface, if you have enough water mixed in, you're going to get a much smoother look to it. You don't want it gloppy. You don't want it runny. You don't want it, there's like this, almost like this super fine line of how much is too much water and how much is not enough water. And now why is it glopping up? And really, honestly, it's just, I think it's a crapshoot. Depending upon where you are, what your humidity levels are, how the type of brush that you're using. Like this brush is pretty old, and this and it's kind of spread out, so I'm getting a little bit more lines than I would normally get if I was using, say, a soft brush like something like this. It's a personal choice, but since I'm going to be putting glitter all over this, I don't really care. I'm just trying to get it onto the cup so that it's applied evenly. You want to make sure you're getting down inside all these little nooks and crannies that are open. So any place you're seeing black, that's the areas that you really want to make sure. And I'll come back and forth. I'll just flick my brush back and forth, and then I'll brush up. And one of the things you'll notice is when you're brushing on your tack it, or even Mod Podge, like if you're doing Mod Podge, you're going to get these, it's like a buildup that happens. You don't want that. You do want to come back the other way, brush a little bit lighter, as you come back. And what it will do is it will actually take away that excess that's there. The excess makes it kind of chunk up in the area. It doesn't look really good, in my experience, anyhow. So I would highly suggest, play with it. This is a learning experience for everybody. Every cup you do is different. I mean, you can make the same cup like 50 times, and you know what? It can come out different every single time. So again, for those of you guys that are just joining, what I did was I just sanded my cup. And yes, I do sand my cups. And the reason that I sand my cups is because it allows my paint to adhere better. Some people don't. I'm not going to get into the political debate about it. I do that. If you don't, well, that's up to you. Okay, so once you get your glue on, and I go almost all the way up to the rim of my cup. Okay, I'll go almost all the way, but not, I don't worry about covering with glue all the way up to the very, very top, because chances are I don't want to take it all the way into that area. I might do it in a couple spots, but with Northern Lights, you're not covering the entire cup. You're covering sections of the cup, and the rest of it is the black. So you're going to leave that to dry just a couple of minutes, and then you're going to sort of decide. Now you can do this on a turner if you want to. Or you can do it this way. I like doing it this way. I find it easier where I'm just doing glitter. But, if it works easier for you to be on a turner or on a, one of these, I don't actually do too well with trying to hold this in my hand and spiraling it. But whatever works for you, that's what's important. So I have some really cool stuff coming up. I've got some great tutorials that I'm going to be doing with you guys. I'm super excited about it. All right, so we're going to do some amethyst, some of this peacock. With Northern Lights, it's kind of whatever you want. It really is. It's really cool. I like the fact that no two are ever the same, and that you have a lot of play with it. Again, when you're doing tack it, you really want to let that sit for a few minutes. It was too much for me to try and put the tack it on before I started, because I was afraid that it would dry up too much. So I'm just putting my glitter into some little medicine cups, because I don't know about y'all, but I am a slob, and I cry when I spill my glitter. So I like to kind of make sure. This is gorgeous. If you haven't seen the Southern Sassy Sparkles glitters, I do a lot with BJ's glitters too, and Pink and Purple Monkey sometimes. But this Daytona Beach blue is gorgeous. It has, it's blue primarily, and then it has purple undertones in it and a light green. I don't know if y'all can see this. It's super pretty. The Peacock Plume, again, it's you can actually see it on the bag. It's this iridescent blue and purple, and I will probably use a lot more of this, just because when I think of Northern Lights, I think of the greens. I think of the blues and the purples that happen in the sky. I've never actually got to see it. I did, like I was saying, I did the tutorial in the Southern Sassy group, and I did a canvas with mica. And actually, there was a gal from Alaska in the group, and she said that I got it. It looked really super good. So I hope. So as you can see, like as this is drying, this is a practice cup too. So sorry, it's not. This is never going to go anywhere. This is just like a cup that I use to do tutorials on, and then I'll just kind of clean it up and use it again, because I do a lot of tutorials in a lot of different groups. I think I'll also use some of this Varsity Blues, which is similar to the Daytona Beach, but it has more of a, let's say like a peacock blue to it, which I think will be really pretty. It's a holographic, and it has greens and purples in it, but not as much as, say, the the Daytona Beach or the Peacock Plume. So those will be our start colors, and then I'll decide afterwards if I'm going to add just a pinch of this Mystical, because this is more of a chunky glitter, and I'm not quite sure how that will go. So as your tack it dries, you'll notice that it goes from being this really creamy white color almost into, it starts to look streaky, and then once it's dry, it will actually make a sound. So this isn't quite ready. It's almost there. But when you put your finger on it and you take your finger away, there's almost like this little weird sound. So if you listen, it's like a little kind of sound. It's not quite ready yet because it's not really making it. You can almost feel it grabs a hold of your finger, and when you pull your finger away, you'll actually, it's weird. It's a weird sensation. And it's almost like peeling off of your skin. So that's the feel that you want when you are going for a tack it method. The other thing that you want to have is I like butcher's paper or parchment paper, just because it actually, it cleans up really easy. Like I can use a piece of parchment paper like 10, 12, 15 times. It will clean up because you can actually scrape the stuff off. So it's very economical using parchment paper. And I just use like the Reynolds Wrap parchment paper. I believe Dollar Tree has a parchment paper version as well. And, whatever works. So it's better than paper plates. I find paper plates don't hold up super well. And with some glitters, particularly the very fine glitters, there's almost like this mist of glitter that forms. And, you can bang on it and brush it, and it just doesn't come. It's almost like got a static quality to it. And the parchment paper does not seem to hold the glitter. And if it is holding, you just snap your finger at it, and the glitter will just fall down. So again, like I said, really economical. It's also amazing when you're doing chunky glitters, guys. Like, take your cup after you do and lay out a piece of parchment paper. Roll your cup in the parchment. So you roll the parchment paper over the cup and press it down really hard. And your glitter's flat. It will be completely flat when you're done. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I have used wax paper, but I always wondered, about, like, how, like, because it's got wax on it. What if it grabs a hold of your, onto your glitter, like if your glues or your paints and things like that are mixed in? Will that cause your epoxy to repel? I mean, you know how epoxy is? Like, it's so hinky. Every little thing that you add to it, Deidre, is like crazy. And it's like, oh my God. And I would just cry. I would just cry if it did that. So I'm going to do this other one too. Whilst I'm waiting for this one to dry, because this is not quite there. It's almost there, but it's not quite there. So again, when you're putting it on, you just mix up your stuff and just spread it. Just like, literally, you're just spreading it on. That's it. And haphazardly. However, whatever you do. And no, I didn't cover the bottom of the cup because I wanted my tree line to come up a little bit more. This is a weird cup. Anyhow, this particular cup is Art Minds, and it's from Michael's, and they're like super cheap cups. They're really good for practices, and I don't like the lid. I will be very honest about that. I don't like the lids on them. I find them to be, like, they don't close, first of all. And some of them don't really fit right from what I've seen. But I do really like them for practice cups or for tutorial cups because they are very inexpensive. So for me, that's particularly because I do so many tutorials in so many different groups. But I love doing my tutorials. And I love teaching people stuff. So if there's ever anything you want to learn, guys, like, let me know. I try to do a tutorial here in the group once a week. I also do tumbler epoxy tutorials and do tutorials over in a couple of other places, like BJ's and Southern Sassy. So if there's ever something you want to learn, it doesn't have to be cups either, because I'm a multimedia artist. I do... Haven't had a problem. Yeah, well, that's good that you haven't had a problem. I was just curious about you. It's like one of those things that I always think of. It's like, oh, what if some of that wax comes off onto my project, and then is it going to cause my epoxy to repel? Chances are probably not, but with my luck, particularly on something that's more difficult, yeah, I don't know. But I say, you know what? Never know till you try, so give it a shot. Again, I'm just smearing it on here, guys, making sure that I'm really getting these little open spots. Another issue that I've had addressed with people is that people are like, oh, well, you know, your tutorials are so long. And it's kind of like, well, yeah, they're long. They're long because I'm actually making a cup in front of you. So if it takes me an hour or an hour and a half in a tutorial as I'm talking and I'm working away, you can pretty much plan that's how long it's going to take you to make that same cup. All right. So now this one is ready, and I want you to, if you can listen and hear, I don't know, I'll put this way up here close, if you can hear the sound. Not sure if you heard it, but it's almost like it makes a little like metal to glue, sort of a rippy sound, and that really tells me that my tack kit is ready for me to start to work on. And whilst that's happening, I'm going to set this other cup off to the side, because I may fool around with some mica on that other one. So with Northern Lights, really, there's no rhyme, no reason. You can use popsicle sticks to disperse your glitter. You can use your fingers. You can actually, if you're really coordinated, you could use the little cup, which I'm actually going to try. So, you know, again, we're just going to start. And you just want to sprinkle. And as you come up, so when you think of Northern Lights, they sort of stream across the sky. They don't go straight up and down. They sort of go off at an angle. And this is the look that you want to do when you have when you're putting it on. The reason I don't do it on a turner when I'm doing glitter is because I want this to sort of almost stay where I want it to. I will spread it a little bit, but I do not want this to kind of cover and merge over into the other parts of the cup. So when I put that on, what that did is it stayed right there. I'm working on getting another camera so that I can have one hanging over what I'm doing. It's just really, right now it's really kind of hard to do. You can do the whole streak, or you can do sections and small parts. It's really up to you. It's totally your choice. When you have your surface underneath, whatever it is, your paper that you're doing, be aware that, you know, your glitters are probably going to mix unless you stop in between each and every color. and clean it off. Me, I'm just going to kind of do a dump cup for this. Now my next color, I'm going to bring in where this one sort of started to spread. I'm just going to sort of bring this in next to it, and I'm just going to sprinkle, but I'm not going to go all the way up this time. I'm just going to come in and do that. And then maybe I'll do a little bit of purple over here. Now after this is done, and they say for tack-it method, it has to be completely dry. I personally have found it does not have to be completely dry. As a matter of fact, I like it when it isn't completely dry. And the reason is because what it will do is it will let me spread it. And so as I move my finger around, what it will do is will actually cover the other areas that I'm, that haven't got stuff on it. Like right here, there's a big streak. So when I smear this around and I rub it, what it will actually do, and you can do this as you go along if you want to, or you can let it dry more. And what it does is it blends your colors. Now notice I didn't put any up here, but I'm going to rub, and it's actually going to grab it, and it's going to cover that area. Now you'll notice too the difference where this isn't rubbed at all, and yet up here where it's already laying flat, it's more of a shimmer. It's completely covered, but it's got this gorgeous iridescent shimmer to it. That is one of the things. Let me show you on the purple on the other side. Okay, so here is just glitter on here. Now I'm going to rub, and I'm going to bring this up a little bit higher. I'm just going to, can you see the difference between here and here? It's just so incredible. This is like one of my favorite techniques. It also works nice when you're coming down into these areas, because northern lights streaks from the, the horizon into the horizon, and it goes from the ground line way up into the sky. So it will allow you to pull this down into these little nooks and crannies that are open. This teal's super light, so I may not rub that quite as much. And I may come back in and do like a second coat in that area. I'm not really positive. And again, I'm just putting it on wherever I want to put it on. I do like to like rub it in between the two colors. I want to blend it. And then if you wanted to add like a contrast color, something that was completely different. So I'm just putting this little line in here, and then I'm going to rub that in. Again, you notice I'm not letting this, completely dry here. But the harder that you rub, the more that you rub, the flatter that the glitter gets. And I love that method. I love the fact that it does that. And then in some spots, if you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to cover the entire cup either. Don't feel obligated to cover every square inch of it, because you do have black spray paint down. And when you peel away the bottom part, that's going to be black as well, so they will complement each other. Sometimes it looks like a hot mess when you're doing it, and I love that. It just looks like such a hot mess when you're doing it, and you're like, oh my god, that's just going to look horrible when I'm done. But when you finally get it all pulled together, you finally take off the tape down at the bottom, it's just like a wow moment of, oh my gosh, that is so absolutely gorgeous. And again, like I said, you know, you just spread. I did mix it with water, Rachel. I did. I do, as I was saying, I think it's almost like a personal preference. I tried the 50-50 method, like they suggested. It did not work for me. It did not work for me at all. I want to grab like a gold here. Just give me a second. I didn't like it. I didn't like how it looked. It's like it didn't stick properly. I don't think it did. Or maybe a silver. Maybe a silver. Do this beautiful silver. This is called Sassafras. And again, it's another Southern Sassy Sparkles color. I also have a list. If you prefer like BJ's or somebody else, like let me know and I can give you a list of the colors for them. So again, just a little, this is beautiful, like sassafras, holographic silver with, it almost like, it looks like opal. All right, so then we're gonna kind of come in here. Now remember, don't forget the bottom, guys. Don't forget the bottom of your cup, because when all these little spaces down at the bottom will actually, that is part of the design. So I'm just rubbing everything down now and I'm spreading it together. I'm just letting things merge in. I want more green in this. Unfortunately, I don't have a dark green for some reason. I don't know why I don't have a dark green. I should have one. Really loving this blue. I have to be careful I don't use the color that I love. It's like, you know, there'll be these colors that you get and you're like, oh, I love that color. And that's like the color that you end up using so much of. And then it's sort of like, oh, well, my cup is primarily just that one color. Again, just be free, be wild, be crazy, just go for it. And if it looks like crap, you know what? You just cover it over. Strip it down, cover it up. This is how we learn. Like, I know people get so upset when they make a mistake and their cup doesn't come out the way that they want to, but this is a work of art. This is, it's supposed to be different. It's supposed to be unusual. That's what makes art, guys. This looks wild and crazy, and I'm loving it. So, it's almost got like a celestial type look to it. Now, when you have all this extra glitter down on the bottom, don't worry about it and don't throw it away. Oh no, you can do it with any glitter. So the cool thing about doing the Tack-It method is it, okay, so what it does is, let me show you here on this blue one, Linda. Okay, so I just put this blue glitter on here. Now, if you see how it like kind of pokes up and sticks up? And that's perfectly fine. You could do your whole cup just like that and leave it and not rub it. But when you rub it, it does what's called burnishing, and it will take, I'm going to do just this area right here, and I'm going to rub it. So first of all, it lightens it, but it also makes that flatten out. So that's the cool thing about the burnishing process. You don't have to do just hollow glitter. You can do any glitter at all. I've even done, I did chunky. I actually did do chunky. And I'm going to actually, I want to use a little bit of this Majesty in here. I think it will look really cool. I just want to figure out where I want to put it. And then I'm going to just take this and I'm just going to do around my bottom. I want to make sure that it's really in all those nooks and crannies in the trees. And you know, this is not a neat job, guys. You're going to get messy. Like, forget about it. You're just going to be messy. I don't know if I have enough glue on here. But this is pretty. This Mystical is really pretty. It's kind of a rosy, sort of rosy. Yeah, it looks really cool. I like it. Once you get your glitters on, then it's time for you to decide, okay, do I need to add more layers? Or what do I want to do with my top? Like I got this whole area around the top to do. Now, like I said, you don't have to cover every square inch with glitter. I could have left some of the spots open, but I chose not to. You know, it's just like one of those things. I have glitter in my ear. It's driving me crazy. I'm going to just rub this. You can come back in. You can add a little more tacket. You do get a rainbow effect, but all of them are gorgeous. I'll show you another cup that I just did with just regular glitter. It's not a Northern Lights cup, but it's really cool. I'm going to let this now, because I want this this glitter to stay exactly where I want it. I'm not going to wait for it to be tacky. I'm just going to put this streak in here, and then I'm going to put this Mystical, and I'm just going to sprinkle it over. And I'm just going to let that sit just for a minute, and I'm going to kind of tap it down, and I'll lift it up in a second so you can see. But this is the cup that I just did, guys. And another thing. This the base glitter is not holographic, but you can see it's still really super shimmery, super beautiful, and that's because of the burnishing method with the tacket. So it really worked super good. And the same with this one. The teal in the background is not hollow. It's just because of the tacket method and the burnishing that makes it do that. So it's possible, and I do love the holographic glitter. I love all glitter. Forget it. Let's face it, guys. We're addicted. We're all of us. Every single one of us. Okay, and there's my main streak there. I think that's going to look super cool. I like it. I like it anyhow. All right, so now you have all this on, and you're satisfied with how you did your cup. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move all this stuff out the way. Get your little dump cup. Save your dump cup. Your glitters for your dump cup. I have so many dump cups. It's scary. I have to figure out what to do with it all. This actually made a gorgeous combo. So what I'll probably do is cover my bottom maybe with it, or do something crazy with it. Would work really good with dragon scale. Okay, once this is all dry and it's all done and it's all dry and you're really happy with the way that it looks, and you've burnished it or not burnished it as much as you care to, Just trying to get this one spot. I will probably come back in and just hit the top just a little more, because it needs some stuff going on up there. Then what you're going to do is you're going to remove your vinyl. Now, when you're removing your vinyl, you do want to be careful, because, you know, you don't want to scratch your spray paint that's there. So usually what I will do is I'll grab a hold of my vinyl and I'll use the tweezers, and I'll come up and I'll do that. And I'll sort of slide my tweezers up underneath. And slowly start to peel it away. Now, if you're careful removing this, you can use it again. And I've actually used them several times. You just want to make sure that you have your backing paper. So this one, like this one, I used a couple of times. And then just put it back on there and save it. Wipe it down. You can take like, once it's back on there, just wipe it all down. And, you know, if it's just a matter of being a little frugal, I guess. And, or not, you know, it's like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It all depends on my mood and if I feel like cutting more vinyl or not. It takes a minute to get all this up, and you do want to go slowly and carefully because you don't want to drag your tweezer through your, through your glitter, because your glitter will scratch off. So you do have to go carefully when you're lifting off. And so, and sometimes even if they rip, I'll save them, because you never know when you might need just a tiny little piece. I had a tree that actually was weird. So when I pulled off my vinyl, this one's not coming off though. When I did my vinyl, it just didn't work really well. So I ended up having to recut another piece, and it was just a little piece of a treetop like that. So I saved my little treetops, and if I can use them again, I will, and if not, it's not a big deal. I'll just cut a new one. All right. When you're getting into areas like this, you do want to be careful. You don't want to just, like the bottom part, I'll just tear it away if I know I'm not going to try and salvage my vinyl. But if then you also found out how good your spray paint job was. Because as you're peeling off this vinyl, sometimes, this is removable vinyl. And actually, I have found that removable vinyl is stickier than regular vinyl. I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I generally use, whenever I'm going to do something, I use regular vinyl, just permanent vinyl, because it seems like whenever I try to use removable vinyl, I end up with my paint like tearing off like it just did. So now I'm going to have to come back in, and I'm going to have to sort of spot that. Could I be doing some of my cups wrong? I've been doing base coat of epoxy before doing my vinyl. I'm so scared to ruin my base coat. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Base coat of epoxy. Okay, so you do your base coat of epoxy. If you're talking about like putting your glitters on, or are you doing glitter with epoxy, then what you would do is just you would put down, so for a glitter coat on a sanded and spray painted tumbler, you would use about 5 milliliters, 3 to 5 milliliters, spread it, and then you would add your glitter to that, let it dry fully, and then you can come back in once you have your epoxy is dried and your glitter is all set, then you would come back in and you would put on your first coat of epoxy. You want to do 2 coats of epoxy, and then if it's smooth, you can add whatever vinyl that you're going to add. If it is not smooth, you want to stop and you want to sand. Now, the exception to the rule is if you are doing something like this, which is sanded, spray painted, and then I put the vinyl over top because I'm actually peeling it away, which is similar to a peekaboo method. If you wanted to do the Northern Lights, I would put the epoxy over my spray. No. No. You put down, you sand your cup, spray paint your cup, generally black. Usually you would spray paint black. Then you will put your vinyl down at the very bottom once it's dry. And then you go ahead and you put on all your colors, your glitters or your micas for your Northern Lights. Peel off your vinyl, which is what I'm doing now, which is fighting me. And then you would seal that. You have to seal it. And you have to seal it a couple of times because you don't want all this to lift off, which it will. When you're doing, when you put your epoxy on this, it will lift, it will make all this kind of smear together if you don't seal it. So you definitely want to make sure that you're sealing it. I hope that helps you. Doesn't matter if you ruin your spray paint when you're putting on glitter like this, hon. Because it's all going to be covered up, except for the bottom. The bottom is where you need to be the most careful about it. Like with this one here, what ended up happening was I used a different spray paint. So your spray paint quality really, really counts when you are doing prep work for stuff. And I mean it. It really does. It really, really, really matters. I always use, I'm grabbing it so you can see, I use this. This is a Rust-Oleum 2x Ultra Cover paint and primer. It comes in a ton of different colors, black, white, you know, whatever. You can use, I have used this as well. Now, here's the thing. When I did this cup, I grabbed another spray paint. Was not this. It was something different. And I sprayed my cup. And that's why my paint is peeling off. Which really stinks because I think this looks pretty darn cool. Absolutely must be dry. So usually for myself, I will spray paint and I will wait overnight. I know it's a long wait. I understand. I really do. That people want to move on. They want to get onto the thing. And yet, and I go through this with people all the time. When you skip a step, when you rush, when you try to hurry up, usually bad things happen. And, you know, it's a crapshoot. It's not a crapshoot I'm willing to take. I'm not willing to risk my time, my energy, my work, that there's going to be a problem because I skipped a step or because I rushed through a step. So when it comes to things drying, I always let it dry overnight. I try to spray paint in the afternoon, you know, like no later than 3 o'clock. And And then what I will do is I will leave it until the next day. Then I'm sure that it's dry. Yeah, it's just like, and thin, very, very, very thin coats work best. You know, they really do. They work super, super good. I'm going to try something weird because I haven't actually had the chance to do this. So I'm going to try it. And this is, I always say, when I do things like this and I make mistakes, it's how we all learn. So I'm actually going to use some mica, and we're going to try this with some mica straight onto. This is same deal. Spray painted cup with your vinyl down. I put tack it all over it. You saw me doing that. I'm just pulling out, I have all these wonderful, wonderful, wonderful micas from Stacy over at Southern Sassy Sparkles. And I want to try them. I want to try doing them on a cup. I've never done this method before, so we will learn together. I hear that using a soft brush is the best way to do it. So we'll go through and we will add some colors and we will see what happens. All right, so this ought to be fun. You ever get nervous when you're trying something new? It's like, I don't want to screw this up. Let me grab some clean brushes here. All right, so I get these by the bag. I think there's like 60 pieces. I think these were like $7. I love these brushes though. They work super good. They last, surprisingly last a really, really long time. So this is the Mystic Blue, and when you do mica, basically you just apply it and you're just kind of bringing it up onto the cup and then blow off whatever you don't want. And then we'll put a little bit over here. So when I think of Northern Lights, I really think of those streaks that come through the air, and they're just so beautiful. Try not to mix your colors, as you know, with your brushes. So that's why I like to have loads and loads and loads of brushes when I do. This is green, and this is called Emerald Sea. And I'm just gonna spread it on here. It's beautiful stuff, though. So we got our green, and we'll put our green over here. We'll try this Blushing, which is a beautiful iridescent purple pink color. Kind of looks like Barbie to me. It's almost the same color as this vinyl. And I always just, oh wow, this is so pretty. Oh my gosh, this is so, so pretty. I like the mica for the fact that when you put it on, you can kind of get jaggy with it, which is actually what Northern Lights would really do. They would be very jaggy looking. Almost like it's lightning, almost like a air like lightning going through the skies is what it reminds me of. I'm going to try a little bit of this Caribbean skies. Caribbean skies. Again, there's so many things you can do. It's like, oh my gosh. I think I could bring this right in here, nice and close to this green. I did find that going in the same direction is helpful. So instead of me going down, because I started going up, you know, from the bottom to the top. I did find that doing that on each one really does kind of make a difference. I would suggest you play with it and see how you find out, you know, how you find it to be. When you blow your mica or even if glitter, it's going to take it and it's going to like burst it. And that is going to give you a different effect. Some people like to do, I'll give it to you, Linda. I mean, you can go on Google and you can search tree line silhouette. But if you like this one, I'll give you this one. You don't have to, remember, you don't have to come all the way to the top. As a matter of fact, you probably don't want to come all the way to the top because that's really, I mean, some of them will come to the top, but some of them don't. Also, the way you blow is going to make a difference. So if you want it to sort of blast, then, you know, think about how it's going to go. Because I'm blowing down, it's actually going to move more into this tree line. But if I wanted it, I'll do one that way. Let's see if I can go on this other side where there's this big empty space here. And I'm going to bring this from the tree line down. I'm going to kind of cake it on just a little. I mean, if you can see, it's kind of cakey. You don't need a lot. You know, it's not a lot. I also make sure that I get in my little spots. And then you just blow. Depending upon how you blow it, it will spread it out. So it looks really amazing. You do want to be careful you're not blowing into your other stuff. Usually I would wear a mask. You can use a popsicle stick as well. If you don't have a bunch of brushes, you can use popsicle sticks. I don't find them to be as accurate. I don't like them because I have a hard time. See how I didn't get it to spread really good. I didn't want a whole lot of this color in here. Gonna just blow this one over my trash because this has a lot. Luckily, it's mostly on a vinyl piece because the orange, it's like an orangey gold, and I don't like that particular color on here, so I'm not going to use any more of it. I do want to have a little gold in it. I'm going to see if I can dull this out. It actually looks better by rubbing it, so that's cool. And I'll just put some gold over the top of it. It'll be nice. Now, because this is the tack it method, I can rub this and it will actually burnish my mica as well. So it will soften it, make it lighter, spread it out more. I really like doing that when I'm getting into those tree line areas because the trees just, I think they, you know, you got to have something in there or it looks funny. And then you can just rub it down. It just softens it. That's all it does. And it makes it look really pretty. When you're using certain colors in these, you don't want to use too much. You know, like silvers and golds tend to overtake the entire design. So be mindful of that when you're doing it. There are stronger colors and lighter color, you know, weaker colors. So you want to definitely watch your strong colors. Now with these two, like I would be perfectly satisfied and to stop at this point. I do want to come down into my tree line and get some of that in there. Do maybe a little bit more of the green in my tree line, but then I can stop. I can be done with this because it, you know, you don't have to cover every, like I said, every square inch with something. That's the beauty of the Northern Lights style. And you can always come back in. You can always, always, always come back in and add more color if you want to later on. So you can also add a little bit of glitter if you want to get that burnished look. It's not necessary, but you can if you want to. Like I said, I mean, you know, really, you also learn very quickly what colors work and what don't. But you only learn these things by practicing and trying, and sometimes it's frustrating because you know, you have an idea in your head of what a thing is going to look like or the way that you want it to look. And then when it's done, it looks absolutely nothing like your concept. And that is the beauty of art, my friends. That is the beauty of art. There's no mistakes. Art is what it is. It's an evolution of self. It is a bit of you. It is a piece of your soul and your heart coming forward through your expression and your artwork. And it is such an amazing, awesome experience. And you just have to embrace it and enjoy it and love it. And you know what? I mean, come on, seriously. Like, look at people like Monet and Picasso, and like particularly like Picasso. I mean, come on. Can you imagine the thought, like back when he was doing that kind of art and what people were thinking? Like, oh my God, like that's just hideous. Like the guy is out of his mind, because he was all hopped up on some drugs. And yet look now at what we appreciate as, you know, him as an artist, is because he was so inventive and unique and different than others of his time. You know, they chastise people like Michelangelo and Raphael and Botticelli. What is his name? Botticelli. They were rebels. They were, you know, crazy people. So embrace your art. Love it. I had to add just a teeny bit of this, which I love this Peacock Plume. I cannot get enough of it. It's just so pretty. And I think as far as Northern Lights go, it is just perfect. And then rub it down and spread it out and let it. What do you think? Done? Yeah? Yeah, I think it's done. I think it's done. Although I want it a little silver. Oh, and then if you want to add a burst. So one of the cool things about Northern Lights is the stars. So not only do you have the colors happening in the sky, you also have the stars. And, you know, they're shining through. Sometimes there's the moon or whatever. So one of the ways that you can do is you can get a little mica, and what you're going to do is you're just going to take your finger and you're just going to flick it. Now, you do not want to rub this in, and you do not want to have a lot of mica on here, and you're just going to flick it and let it fall. You don't want to do a lot. You can also sprinkle if you want to. Like, this is a really cool technique. Thank you, Bob Ross. Yeah, learned it from Bob. Flick it with your finger. And now we have stars. You could use a little white paint. You don't want to do that a lot, though, because mica has a tendency to sort of have a mind of its own. You can use paint in order to do it, like a spray paint, not spray paint, but just an acrylic with a little bit of water in it so that it flows. The best brush is a fan brush in order to be able to do that. All right, so let's take it off and let's see what we got. I'm like super excited for this. I don't know if I'll be able to reuse these. Like I said, I used permanent vinyl. I'm sorry, I used removable vinyl, and I have never really had a whole lot of luck with removable vinyl. I find it to be stickier than regular vinyl. And so when I go to take it off, it never really comes off the way that I had wanted it to. Like that. And it tears super easy. Boop. Guys, have any questions? Did I cover everything that you might want to know? This is such a fun cup to do. Don't be intimidated. Jump in. Seal it when we're done. This is not going to let me salvage this. You want to seal this. So I will spray. I'll use my spray sealer, which is just the 3 times clear spray sealer. It's a Rust-Oleum. And I will spray it, and then I will let it dry fully, and then I will spray it again. At that point, I will see how I feel about it. If my gut tells me to spray it again, then I will. Sometimes I will spray 3 times. Sometimes I only spray twice. But I always do a minimum of 2 because I do not want my stuff moving. I don't, particularly if there's glitter, I always do 3 because I don't want that glitter to move. I don't want it to shift around in my cup and go exactly where I don't want it to go, which is very upsetting after you spend a whole lot of time making something and that glitter just moves. And then what it does is it ends up like mixing it all together so it doesn't even look like something. That's more what I was talking about. You know, it's all right. Almost done. Take a minute. Make sure you get all those little pieces off. Sometimes they do like to hide underneath your vinyl. Again, with the vinyl cut, you can do Google. You can look up tree line silhouette. You can find them free. I am all about free. At this point, if you see any spots that look weird to you, that need more, this is when you would want to add them. For some reason, I got a lot of gold splotches in here. There it is. What do you think, guys? I'm loving it. I'm really loving it. That is badass. I'm telling you. I think it looks really cool. So unfortunately, that vinyl is not going to work. So for this cup, I used, and I will post in the link in the thing what I used. I used Caribbean Skies, Southern Sassy Sparkles Caribbean Skies, CF Awareness. I used a little pinch of 24 karat. I used Mystic Blue, Blushing, Emerald Sea, and then I used a little bit of Peacock Plume. And for my stars that I did, My little stars in my sky. This is the white. It's called Oh My Sand. These are all available. She does have a first-time purchases code available to you, which is, I believe, is tutors, and I will double check with her. These are so good. These micas are so good. I've done twice, 3 times now. I've used them, and I love them so much. So I hope this was useful and helpful to you guys. Please don't ever worry about reaching out to me or bothering me with your questions. I'm so happy to be able to help you. I'm so happy to be here for Megan. I am going to be doing a class on molds, working with molds, coming up soon. So we're going to be doing epoxy molds. So these were our 2 beautiful projects from today. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your night, and happy crafting. Bye-bye now.